business executive publicly humiliated and fired one of his employees after claiming that he was stealing from the company. And the foul-mouthed moment was all caught on camera. Here it is.
When there's stealing going on, we cannot do that. Greg, get out. Get the out of my firm! Get out or I'll call the cops. Why are you still sitting there, fat? Get out of my company. Get out! Grab your coat. You got 1 minute to get out of here, or I'm calling the cops and I'm having you escorted out. Get the out! Get out of here!
Well, that was unpleasant. Now the two sides are headed to court with the video at the center of a defamation suit. To examine this, attorney Janelle Weinstein and author of Go Pair Larry Winget join me now. Janelle, what grounds here do we have for a potential disgruntled employee case?
Well, he brought a case for defamation, which he's saying, look, you published this video, you put it out there, and it was negative towards me. It defamed my character.
And this was not a public place. This is a private office.
Right. He's not a public figure. He didn't put himself out there to be scrutinized. And that's what they look at in defamation suits. The interesting part here is, and in any defamation case, is whether there's a defense. And a defense to defamation can be truth.
All right. So, Larry, what do you think? You know, you have been saying that we actually need more of this, quote, leadership, this kind of language. Why do you say that?
Well, I absolutely love everything this guy said. I applaud this guy, and I would love to see more leaders take this kind of stand against dishonesty. I mean, you said public humiliation. Who cares? The guy's a thief. He's worried about being defamed. He's a thief. And so if you steal, it's not okay. This guy was very clear about what he's not going to put up with in his company, and that's stealing.
Larry, we don't know every single detail of the case of the so-called embezzlement or stealing so far, right?
Well, I'm just going to take this boss at his word and talk about what he said in terms of firing somebody for being dishonest. I'm not saying he's guilty or not guilty, but if he's guilty, I love what he did. And I don't think it's called public humiliation when somebody gets fired for being a thief. I think we need more of that, whether they're stealing a pencil or whether they're embezzling funds. It's wrong, and we've got too many people getting by with doing wrong and not taking a stand like this.
All right, Janelle, I want to bring you to this next topic here. Odell Beckham Jr. is planning to appeal his one-game suspension over his helmet-to-helmet hit on Panthers cornerback Josh Norman. Here's what Beckham Jr. said about the hit after Sunday's game.
You go look at the film. I caught a slant, and man's diving across my face. Like I said, this is a tough game. Like I said, this is a tough game. This is a tough game.
So, Janelle, does this seem like a fair hit to you? Did Beckman's emotions get the best of him here? Maybe?
Well, I think that the problem is they have to look at the risk to the players. And what they're finding at this point, that's why they suspended him, is that he was risky to the other players. And in this day and age where there's heightened awareness about the consequences of head injury, where there's so much scrutiny with the NFL and they're revamping their safety rules, it's very important that the NFL take a strong stance. He may have that interpretation of what happened, but they are going to be looked upon very closely to make sure they're protecting the players based upon what's going on now.
Larry, the talk of the town right now is whether or not a one-game suspension is enough. What do you think?
Well, as long as there's at least one game suspension. Look, I don't care about whether they bump their helmets or not. 3 times he was called on a personal foul in the one game. He's been called for his actions on the field before.
Yes.
I love it when consequences are imposed for bad behavior.
But think about the consequences of Tom Brady, though. We can't forget, though, Larry, sorry to interrupt here, but, you know, Tom Brady got 4-game suspension after Deflategate. Obviously, that didn't necessarily materialize, but what do you think? How does that compare? It's the same league, 2 different things, but, you know, one's much more violent than the other.
So suspending for 4, I don't care. If they suspend him for 4, that'd be good by me, too. We don't often see the NFL impose too many consequences. So if they stick him with 1 or stick him with 4 or kick him out, I don't care. The point is there's a consequence for doing wrong, and he's going to feel the pain of this one for at least 1 game. I'm good with just that happening.
All right, Janelle, a giant source is telling ESPN, though, that Beckham may have been taunted prior to the game with some offensive slurs. If that is true, how do you think that would change the case here?
Well, I think that's why the one game is warranted. It's not like it's 4 games. Obviously, for the team, they take a hit without having him there because he's a really good player. But you can't have this behavior, like your other guest said. It may be taunted, but he's got to have a little bit more discipline. That's not how the game is played, and certainly not in this environment anymore can that happen. So that's really what the NFL is looking at, and they are being examined, and they've got to do the right thing by these players.
All right, Janelle Weinstein and Larry Winget, thanks as always for joining us.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, SpaceX successfully landing a rocket